social business around it. That makes it a very, very powerful experience.
So Yogesh, I hope you're bracing for the challenge that it brings, right? Social innovation is a very interesting topic, very well talked about, but you have to appreciate the fact that when you build a business which is a social innovation driven business and creates social impact, you are not creating the P multiples or the valuation multiples that you see uh, in the other part of the world. So I think the challenge that you will face as an incubation center is what products would you be coming out with that can still be sustainable businesses with handy returns on investment, and how would you balance the desire of your students to create $100 million enterprise valuation in a jiffy. So you will have a very interesting co-balancing task at your hand. It is something that I have experienced for many, many years now.
Yeah. No, I think I just want to voice, both the gentlemen said right now. So I come from an investing perspective, and I want to reiterate the fact that for any investor, risk-adjusted returns are a very critical thing. Whether you do social enterprises or whether you do non-social enterprises. If you are doing investing, then you are looking at market returns. If you are doing anything which is not investing, then it is philanthropy, grant capital, or you have a pool of capital which is looking at patient returns, which is essentially increasing your period of returns. But to make it sustainable, you will have to make it commercially attractive. I'm not saying whether 40% IRR is attractive or 25% IRR is attractive. What I'm saying is definitely something below what you get from the government is not attractive. Then it goes into a different pool of capital, and it is okay. So at least we need to understand that impact is defined at multiple levels. There is an intention to invest to make sure there are contributions to social and environmental solutions alongside financial returns. As long as that is clear, scale can achieve.
So, we have Venkat, who has joined with us, is a part of our, advisory committee. So somewhere we have they're helping us in this whole area of how do you strike this balance. And, Venkat, we were just trying to understand from, the panelist in terms of some broad advice for us kind of thing. And actually, Venkat has been voicing similar concerns. But I think the way we are looking at is if we get a student energy into this, what may look like some contradictions, maybe we'll be able to resolve this, So that's where having set up this in a academic environment where there's a faculty support, there's an incubation, some understanding of incubation. So you're right, it's a huge challenge, but we think it's also a great opportunity for students, right, to grapple with these issues because they are going to be the future leaders. So, I think we understand contradictions, but we don't know the answers yet, but we are hoping that all of you will help us in our journey. Ramesh, any thoughts before?
Thank you very much, Professor. We come from a background of being in business for 30, 40 years, actually. I mean, to us, it starts off more in two sides. One is always in philanthropy in the normal sense of contributions. And the other thing is to generally try and do whatever best we can to help humanity. That's been the philosophy on which we have always gone about over the years. But I think this impact investing, so to speak, is something which is relatively new and which is coming into play. And I think what better space than today's students who are yet to come out of the university who can start getting involved in such a space. As the other speaker said, yes, obviously for sustainability, you need to have certain returns, etc., etc. But I think this is a journey. And I think if one is going to be contributing into the fund to start off with as right from the campus and university, I think it's going to be a great learning for all of us. And I think to me, it is going to be personally a lot of learning. And there can't be a better place from the institution from where they're starting off to do something good for the world. And that's how I would look at it. And I think while the journey progresses, you can always come to conclusions in terms of what kind of returns, what are the space, what is it that we need to do, what kind of an impact it has to give. All of this is, I think, a process as we go along. But I really want to compliment IIM Udaipur for taking the first step forward. And your big thinking that you want to sort of bring in and bridge other campuses into this, I think is a great thinking. And I will stand all the way with you to make sure that it works within the limited knowledge that I have. I'm always there to share my thoughts.
Thank you, Ramesh. Really appreciating your help and support, because I think we are entering areas which we don't know enough, right? I think that part at least we know, but we're just hoping that combination of a student energy, because I think that's a advantage of a student energy. They can do certain things which look impossible to us. So that student energy, incubation center, and whole lot of well-wishers, including the advisory board and some of you. Through this, we hope to make it succeed, because I think it's important we attempt. I don't think we're going to, there are going to be, as all of you are cautioning, there are going to be a lot of bumpy rides on the way, but that's what probably makes it interesting in a university setup.
Shazad, to be honest, it is a dream scenario, to have an IIM launching a social impact and investment fund is a dream scenario. The impact that you will be able to create, and with an open mind that you are progressing on this is going. I think next 2, 3, 5 years down the line, you will be absolutely proud of what you have been able to achieve. I think it is a huge opportunity for a country like India, wherein you have a billion people probably looking to be impacted positively by the innovations that will come out of it.
Is there something wrong with Mr. Navneet's sound? I'm not able to. It's getting a bit disrupted. Is it okay for all, or it's only for me?
Yeah,
Navneet,
I think there's some problem on your audio
Microphone?
front.
All right.
Yeah, this is now much better.
All right. Okay. So I'm saying you have a billion people to be impacted positively. So I think the size of the opportunity is very.
I think still again back to there's an audio problem.
There is an audio problem still. Is it better now?
Yeah.
I think it's better.
Okay. All right. So I think, as I said, for the third time, I'm saying that you have a billion people to be impacted positively. So that is the size of opportunity that you're looking at. I don't think any other investment fund will look at that level of opportunity. It's a very, very good, and I think kudos to you and the whole team who has actually thought about this.
No, I would give complete credit to students. I think they've done a great job in thinking through this. We look at our job as supporting them, right? But they are the one who provide this whole energy, which is partly intellectual energy, and the passion which they bring in. So it's a very proud moment for all of us. And having all of you with us today makes a huge difference. So thank you for being part of us. And as most of you said, this is going to be a journey, a long journey ahead. And your support, you value your support in that journey. I think over to IF team, whenever they want to get started.
Sure, sir. So with these words of inspiration, we'll take all your permission from all the dignitaries to start the function of the IIM launch. Over to you, Pallavi.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I would like to welcome you all to the launch event of India's only student-led impact investment fund. I am Pallavi Goel, and I'm the president of Impact Analysis team at the fund. And it is a pleasure for us to have you all here when IIM Udaipur is completing one more milestone in its 10-year journey towards achieving the vision of setting new standards in the field of management education. Our student team has done a lot of hard work for the last 2 years to give this fund a shape from an idea that our director Janat Shah had. It was Professor Shah's vision to have a student-led impact investment fund at IIM Udaipur to inspire future leaders towards impact investing and to create a positive impact for the society. He has been providing us with constant support throughout our journey of shaping this fund. I would like to welcome Professor Jannat Shah, Director of IIM Udaipur and Chairman of IMU Incubation Center Board, to share his thoughts about the fund and the vision behind it. Over to you, Director, sir.
Thank you and good afternoon to everyone. It's such a pleasure and a proud moment for our institute to launch something like this. We started as an institute about a decade back, where we wanted to build an institution which is very different, where there are several goals. One of them was ensuring that future leaders and entrepreneurs are socially sensitive. At the same time, in general, having entrepreneurship as a part of a core value. Entrepreneurship doesn't mean you start a new venture, but anything you do, there is a spirit of entrepreneurship you have. And third, idea that anything we do, being a management school, it's important that students build leadership skills, which sometimes cannot be taught in our regular curriculum. To me, what we are seeing today is combining of all this together in this very interesting area of starting a impact investment fund, which is going to be completely driven by students. Because I think we're dealing as a country, obviously we have huge problems. But if we are able to bring student energy with the support of various visionaries, that's why I'm very happy that today, in this launch, we have Ramesh Ramakrishnan with us. We have Nicole Zaveri, Navneet Garg, some of the thought leaders in this space. We similarly have, we have Venkat, who's been part of our advisory group. So I think we have a lot of support in terms of certain visionaries, thought leaders who've been in this space. But at the same time, I think the student energy will bring a whole lot of innovation in this space. And the kind of experience students will get in this, I'm sure would be at individual level be impactful, but also impactful to society. I think what we would like to do is to make sure this becomes a movement and spreads across India. So I think we just want to initiate this, make that learning available to all schools, and we would encourage all schools to be part of this. Because I think as a country, we need this. So with that, my opening remarks, again, thank you everybody to be part of this journey, and kudos to the student group who has worked on this, and also, ensuring that we use the experience which we have in our incubation center, because I think that combination, three things together, the student energy, the incubation center, which provides some experience, and this whole set of well-wishers, including our advisory board together, will make this a unique and interesting journey. So thank you once again. Have a great journey ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor, and for sharing a vision. And we hope that we will be able to take this initiative forward and make this a movement throughout the country. Now, we would like to share an introductory video showing the need for impact investing fund in the Indian context and the 5 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, that we as Impact Investing Fund are targeting to invest in.
Let me know if you are able to see the video and hear the audio, please. Is it perfectly audible?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Ayush.
Now, I would like to welcome my colleague Utkarsh Nigam, who is currently the President of Administration and Outreach Team, and Shreya Saloni, who is the Vice President of Financial Analysis Team. They will share with you what is the need of an impact investing fund and also give you an overview about Impact Investment Fund IIM Udaipur.
Thank you so much, Pallavi. Just confirm if you are able to see my screen.
Yes, it is visible.
Good afternoon, all the dignitaries and all the audience who are witness here to launch India's first student-led impact investment fund. I and my colleague Shreya will be taking over and let you go through the process of how and why we have formed this fund and what are the technicalities we have involved while launching this initiative. So I'll start off. We'll first see what are the current developmental scenarios in the world which we are facing as of now. So according to an FAO report in 2019, about 14.5% of Indian households and population falls under the undernourished category. The maternal mortality ratio is 1.145 per 1 lakh births in India. Only 74.2% of schools in rural India have usable toilet facility. The mortality rate attributed to unsafe water, sanitation, and lack of hygiene is 18.4 per 1 lakh population. And even now, in the 22nd year of the 21st century, we have 2.4% of Indian households who have not been rectified as of now. Now, the problem with these is that we already know that there is an environmental and social concern going on. But the point is that there are no investments in these ventures which produce a social and environmental impact. We have conventional funds who invest in ventures which give 10x returns, but social and impactful ventures are not already looked at. There exists another problem that there is no existing student-led impact fund in India, and this leads to a lack of exposure to future leaders in the field of impact investing and a lack of talent in this domain. Now, the solution to this problem is a student-led impact investment fund, of which we are a genesis. Now, who we are, IIM Udaipur Student-Led Impact Investment Fund is a student-managed self-sustaining fund. We seek to generate positive social and environmental impact in India, as well as risk-adjusted financial returns in line with the mission of IIM Udaipur. Why we are doing this, our inspiration is to inspire a generation of students to focus on impact investing by sharing knowledge with institutes across India. This is what Janet sir mentioned. And we also want to encourage new age ventures to focus on creating social and environmental impact. Our vision for the next 10 years is to touch more than a million lives through various initiatives which we take and investments we make in social and environmental impact ventures. And we want to be the catalyst of the growth of student-led impact funds across India. As we have seen in the video, we are focusing on 5 sustainable development goals. Basically, the first is zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, clean water and sanitation, and affordable and clean energy. As we all know, there are 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, but we have focused on these 5 as a starting point to find a direction in which we can move forward. As and when we mature, we'll expand our horizon and include more SDGs in our portfolio. So these are all the SDGs in which, if a venture is working, we'll be interested and ready to invest in. This is a journey so far. So as I mentioned, it was an idea floated during a book launch by Janet sir. So it was in July 2020 when the initial seed germination was put in, and the public policy group, which is a student-led club in IIM Udaipur, prepared the initial draft in November 2020. After that, we for 3 more student-led clubs, that is Saksham, the entrepreneurship club in IIM Udaipur, Phenomena, that is the finance club at IIM Udaipur, and Prayatna, that is the social club at IIM Udaipur. They joined hands with the public policy group to come form a combined team, and we prepared the first iteration from the first draft. The journey was not very smooth. As you know, 2 months after, we had to give a second iteration because it was a process of filtering. And as Janat sir mentioned, we had to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. Now, in July 2021, we got a green signal from the administration and mainly Janat sir to have a go ahead. And today here we are, almost 2 years after the initial idea, where we are launching India's first impact investment fund, which is student-led. Now, I'll hand over the remaining PPT to Shreya, who will take it forward. Shreya, over to you.
Thank you, Utkarsh. Good afternoon, everyone. We would now proceed with the fund and deal structure. So we are financially autonomous within IIMU Incubation Center, which comes under Section 8 company. We are an evergreen fund with a fund size of ₹7 crores, which is to be attained in 5 years. The individual investment size would be either up to 15% of the fund or maximum of 40 lakhs. There is a provision for co-investing. And at any given time, we are going to target at least 12 to 17 companies in our target portfolio. We have provided maximum of 2% of the deal size for our operational expenses. Next slide, please. Coming to the investment life cycle, the investee will come for the process of deal sourcing, where the identification of investment opportunities would be done and a preliminary analysis would be done. Then we would proceed towards the due diligence, which would take part in 3 steps, that is financial due diligence, impact due diligence, and business due diligence. It would be a 2-step process where the presentation would be done by the venture and an interview will be conducted. Then the process of document furnishing would be done. From there, the data would be used to set the frameworks to assess the venture. We'll move ahead with the deal approval, where a combined memo would be given to the investment committee, and then to deal structure, where the terms of the deal would be set in consultation with lawyers and CA. From there, we would reach to the post-governance stage, where the annual reports would be analyzed, and it would also include the student engagement and mentorship. From there, we would reach to the exit stage of the fund. Coming to the fund operations, we have set in an organization structure, which at the top would be the board of directors, which will include the board of directors of the incubation center, followed by the investment committee, which will have experienced professionals who will be appointed by the board of directors, and then the operational advisory committee, which would support our day-to-day operations of the club, which will comprise of stalwarts from the industry. Following up on that, we would reach to the advisory committee, previous slide please, which will include stalwarts from the industry, the professors of IIMU, and distinguished alumni of IIMU who have worked for in the impact investment domain. Since it is a student body, we have 4 teams under the student body, which are the deal sourcing team, the impact analysis team, the financial analysis team, and the administration and outreach team. Next slide, please. So what's in our fund for the ventures? First of all, they would get to leverage the brand IIM and gain credibility and increase their brand value. Then they will have collaborations where the investees will gain a 2-way knowledge, where they'll share their existing impact investment fund with Ivy League colleges, Stanford, GSB, UCLA, Anderson, and Microlumbia. So we are an impact focused fund, and being a student led fund, we will look for nominal returns and high impact would be our aim. And we would also provide advisory services. So the investees will get access to our advisory services from mentors, professors, and functional clubs, where they can consult and use our talent pool for internships and live projects. Next slide, please. So what's in it for the donors? They will get an engagement with the investors, where regular updates will be provided through annual reports and applications about fund performance and impact created by the portfolio companies.
They can offer mentorship opportunity to the investees based on the need for adventure and matching the competency of the mentor. They would get to network by physical or virtual networking dinner meetups with the investing and potential investing founders. And last but not the least, they would get to engage with the student community and get access to the student community to conduct sessions to make them conscious of the domain of impact investment. I would now, I would like Utkarsh to take it over from here.
Thank you, Shreya. I'll take it forward. Now, after the fund and structure, we now talk about the Global Impact Fund Collaborative. Now, this is an initiative, it is a student-led initiative started by existing student-led impact funds across the globe. Now, as you can see, there are 3 locations across 3 continents, of which student funds are a part. I'll first mention IIM Udaipur is the only fund representing India. From the United Kingdom, we have the London Business School, and we have several existing student-led impact funds from the United States, primarily the Stanford GSB, Microlumbia, UCLA Anderson, Chicago Booth, Wharton School, and others. So this is a collaborative where we meet regularly to share ideas. They have a knowledge sharing agreement pact and discuss how to take this collaborative forward so that it is mutually beneficial for all the members. Now, the Global Fund Collaborative has primarily 3 members who have founded it. Now, we as IIM Udaipur IIF will gain from the experience that these 3 initial primary impact funds have. So first fund is the Stanford Graduate School of Business Impact Fund. It was formed in 2014 and it has a portfolio of 11 companies as of now. The second fund, which is there in the collaborative, is the Microlumbia Collaborative, which was formed in 2007. And the assets under management that they have is closely around to $1,24,000 US as of 31st January. The third member of that collaborative is the Anderson Venture Impact Partners, which was founded in 2017, and they have assets under management of $200,000 US. Now we just like to share a snippet of Impact Collab Winter Kickoff, which we had at 5:30 in the morning Indian Standard Time, considering the time difference that we have with the United States. And as you can see, all other member partners are there, along with the members from IIM. Now, as of now, due to the trust that we have gained and due to the vision of Professor Janat and all our partner members, we have, before our launch, a committed capital of INR 45 lakhs, which amounts to US $60,000 plus. I would also take this opportunity to thank our donors, the Transworld Group, and Mr. Yogesh Anle, who is also the board of directors at the IIM Incubation Center and also philanthropist and entrepreneur, who have generously agreed to donate to a fund and kickstart our proceedings. I'd also like to mention that the Transworld Group, who is represented by the Honorable Chairman, Mr. Ramesh Ramakrishnan, they have agreed to donate rupees 40 lakhs, and Mr. Yogesh Anle has pitched in rupees 5 lakhs for a fund. Thank you so much, donors. We really appreciate your initiative. Now I would like to introduce you to our advisory committee, starting with none other than Professor Janat Shah, who was behind this idea. We have Professor Uday Damodran, who helped us throughout in formulating the various frameworks and the technicalities that we were facing during the launch of this fund, and as well as in the documentation of the frameworks which needed to. We have Mr. Ian Venkat, who is a partner at Avishkar Capital, Ms. Geeta Goel, the country director at Michael and Susan Foundation India LLP, Dr. Harsh Kumar Bhanwala, who is the ex-chairman of NABARD, Mr. Manoj Kumar, who is the founder at Social Alpha, and Mr. Umesh Malhotra, who is the co-founder and CEO at Hippocampus Learning Centers. We'll look forward to their guidance as we move forward. I would also like to thank our operational advisory committee members, Mr. Kannan Sundarajan, who is the CEO at the IIM Incubation Center. We got a tremendous help from Mr. Saurabh Nigam as well, who is the Vice President of Human Capital at Omidia Network India, and Professor Rajesh Agarwal is also faculty at IIM Udaipur, who helped us throughout in the formulation of the documentation of this project. Now, this is the founding team, which we have, the student team. It consists of members from alumni who were seniors when we took this initiative forward, I would take this opportunity to mention the names of Rishabh Kumar, Shraddha Shukla, Tapish Jan, and Vivek Polisani, who have now graduated from IIM Udaipur and in the industry, but they were actually the driving force behind this, and we took it forward. I'd also like to introduce you to Jay, Manas, Murtaza, Pallavi, Tapish, Prakhar, Rishabh, Rohit, Sai, Shivam, Shreya, Sri Likhita, myself, and Vineet and Vivek, who are the founding members of this team. Now, recently in December 2021, we inducted our associates from the MBA 2021-23 batch. As you all know, that continuity is one aspect which is of prime focus in such student-led funds, because since we are here in the institute for only 2 years, continuity is one factor which we need to focus on. So we have our associates who are very diligent, and we have Abhilash, Abhishek, Arvind, Atyant, Ayush, Dheeraj, Harika, Jaydeep, Kusum, Soumya, Misha, Mugdha, Namit, Sai Kiran, and Dinesh from the MBA 2021-23 batch will take over from us once we graduate from IIM Udaipur. So as you mentioned, these are the 4 founding student bodies who are behind the formulation of the IIM Udaipur Impact Investment Fund, the Public Policy Group, the Entrepreneurship Club of IIM Udaipur, that is Saksham, Phenomena, that is the Finance Club, and Team Prayatna, that is the Social Club at IIM Udaipur. This is it from our side. Thank you so much. Pallavi, over to you.
Thank you, Utkarsh and Shreya, for giving us the overview of the fund. Today, we are glad to have a panel of eminent and experienced professionals who have a lot of experience in impact investment domain. We have Mr. Navneet Garg, CEO and co-founder of Kaya Constructs, Mr. Nicole Zaveri, management partner at Relativity Investment Management, and Mr. Ramesh Ramakrishnan, chairman of Transworld Group, with us today, who will share their perspective about impact investing, and will also tell us about the need of a student-led impact investing fund. I would first like to welcome Mr. Navneet Garg. He has done engineering from NIT Bhopal and has an overall experience of around 29 years. He has spent over 2 decades in innovating and scaling up life-saving products. He has worked in Westergaard Franson, where he managed the complete value chain of LifeStraw water purifiers as the Chief Operating Officer. Mr. Navneet was part of the private sector on WHO UNICEF-led advisory group on network of household water treatment and safe storage, and has helped shape the recently launched WHO evaluation scheme of household water products. He has received the award for outstanding contribution to water efficiency by the Asian Leadership Awards, and has also been felicitated as one of the 50 most talented leaders in water and water management by the World Water Leadership Congress and Awards. He is currently the co-founder and CEO of Kaya Constructs, a company formed to bring product innovations to market for creating positive social impact in India. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. I would now request you to share your perspective as a social entrepreneur towards impact investing.
Thank you, Pallavi. Can you hear me well?
Yes, sir.
All right. It's actually very, very good feeling that I have being invited for this. I didn't realize myself that I've spent almost 3 decades doing social innovation. So thank you for reminding me how old I am now. One of the fundamental issues, I have always faced when it comes to social innovation and students has been that, is it attractive enough for them? I run a design college myself. I co-founded a design college called the Design Village. And I started a curriculum on social innovation and entrepreneurship. And my idea was that out of the SDGs, I will find business opportunities from each SDGs and we will develop products for them. You will not believe, and all the attendees, you will laugh at it, that I could only get 2 or 3 students for my lectures. And the rest of them never opted for it. They said, design college, will rather have our own fashion line or something else, which is much more attractive and marketed. Only when I sold toilets for 100 crores in 2 years is when they realized that doing good can be good business. And that has to be essence of whatever you do. Do not get carried away. You are not starting an NGO. when we start to do social impact, we start to believe that everything has to be for the impact. Keep in mind the sustainability and the financial returns that you would have. And trust me, having done 29 years, as Pallavi mentioned, that number has stuck with me somehow, as I'm starting to sound old already. I have done a lot of innovations. My first innovation was a mosquito bed net. How would I be explained to the government of India when I went and met the Union Minister Shatrughan Sinha at that time? I said, "Sir, मच्छर बैठता है, मच्छर बढ़ जाता है. तो काटने से पहले आपका मलेरिया नहीं होगा आपको इससे." He was saying, "Wow, what an innovation!" It was so simple to explain. That innovation in itself turned to be the cornerstone of Millennium Development Goals. What were Millennium Development Goals? The avatar of SDGs, the predecessor of SDGs that Utkarsh and Shreya so fondly spoke about. They were the erstwhile avatar of the SDGs. They were called Millennium Development Goals. And the Millennium Development Goals had a big target of reducing neonatal mortality because of malaria by 50%. And I at Westergaard was one of the instrumental persons behind it. At one time, there were more people sleeping under our bed nets than they were Facebook users. That was the level of scale at which. And that brings me to my next point. Whenever you do social impact, you are looking at the bottom of the pyramid. Normally we call bottom billion. I don't think it's bottom billion. We are looking at a couple of billion people at least on the bottom side. Even in India we have a billion, and then you have Africa, Latin America, and rest of Asia. We need to think scale. Please do not look at companies that have not shown ability to scale up or do not have the potential to scale up. They might have the best innovation in the world, but if they cannot show scale, you cannot have an impact. So please, the second thing that you have to be very particular about is who works with the poor, who works with the welfare of the poor. It's normally government. That means that your investee companies, your founders will be struggling to work with a bureaucratic system all across. Do not think India is a unique proposition when it comes to government. Every country operates in their own bureaucratic network. So when you have to understand, how the government system works, what will motivate them. What will motivate them is their own targets. Why I was very successful with my toilets was because Swachh Bharat had a huge push from the Prime Minister Modi himself. So naturally, for me to penetrate into 12 states and 300 cities was much easier. Of course, my task was made much easier by Mr. Akshay Kumar, because he propagated us a lot in toilet ek prem katha. So I started to get calls by my, so it became a very easy thing to market. But I don't think all of your entrepreneurs will have that luck that Akshay Kumar will spot a toilet driving through Jaipur and call him up. Then I think one of the fundamental things that when Shreya was presenting was there was a focus on exit. I think you may find a tribe of entrepreneurs wherein you would say, I do not want to make a business to sell. I want to make that business as a career. Please do not discourage that tribe of people that would want to make living out of it. There are enough people in the world who would want to create some innovations that they can continue to work with for 20, 30, 40 years. You don't need to get a multiplier and get out of it. So my learnings, if you have to sum it up, is doing good is an excellent business. It's a good business, absolutely fantastic idea. The kind of impact that you will be able to create is going to be monumental. Trust me on that, you have all the ingredients to make it successful. The student-led energy, excellent mentors and professors that you have, IIM brand behind you, and the need of the hour. So I think you are riding a good wave here. I have told you examples of mosquito bed net and toilets. Let me give you another example, and this is how social innovation works. The life straw that Pallavi spoke about a lot. it started with a water purifier that you could put in any dirty water and suck it like a straw, and the water would get filtered when it comes to your mouth. Like that, and it became a big darling with all the awards in the world. I got awarded for it for the best innovation of the century, 10 things that will change the life, and so on and so forth. But you will not believe, I did not get any commercial success with the product for next 5 years. But we kept on being persistent with it because I said potential is there. Everybody's liking it. It's just the business model that I'm lacking that is not clicking. Ultimately what happened? 50 of my Swiss and other European colleagues were going on a hiking trail in Africa. They took the straws with them. They got photographed, by the local media and so on and so forth. And Amazon's distributor called us. Amazon in US for that infancy stage, their distributor called us and put the product on Amazon.com in US. Today, for last 4 years on Amazon Prime sales, it is the highest selling product. It gets topped out as the first product on Amazon Prime sale. And every year we double the number up and still it gets topped out. So sometimes you may not realize, and I had developed that product for Indian students who would go 5 kilometers to school on foot, and they would get some quality water to drink on the way. But ultimately, I found my big market on the impact on the web, on the new age way of selling, which I had not even perceived that it would be a market. So be very open to finding the right business model. Your entrepreneur who would come to you for funding may not know, and that is where you would need a lot of experience hand behind you to say the business model will be the key to success of the product in itself. And since I have a minute left, the team, I am there to support this mission because this is a mission that is extremely, extremely close to my heart. In whatever capacity you think I am needed, I am useful, I am ready to contribute in my personal capacity, in our professional capacity. We at Kaya are doing social innovation day in, day out. We have come out with a hand pump monitoring device which can monitor the health of a hand pump sitting remotely, so that the girls who carry, 2 big jars do not have to travel to another hand pump device to get water and bring it 20 liters back with them for kilometers and kilometers. Because that is, and since you guys are in Rajasthan, that is actually the plight of Rajasthan, that you have to travel 8 to 10 kilometers every day to fetch water, right? So I think there is a lot of room for innovation. I'm truly humbled by this effort. It is absolutely motivating to see this growth. That's why I think I did not take even probably 2 minutes to say, yes, I would want to be part of your launch, because the subject is fantastic. The impact that you will create will be very good. Create your impact matrices very, very nicely, so that wherever there is a risk-adjusted return to be compensated by your social impact, you have a very transparent mechanism to show to your investors that why you might have compromised 4% return, but you have given 40,000 lives the impact. So I think that would be all from my side. I do not know whether there is on the agenda a question answer, but I'm available in respect. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughts. And we are glad to have your support for our fund. And we will definitely look towards a right business model while investing. I believe Director sir had something to say. I think.
So thank you, Navneet, for your support. Offer of support we would need. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to welcome Mr. Nicole Zaveri. Mr. Nicole has received his MBA from the University of Oxford and has over 20 years of experience spanning entrepreneurial, operational, and investing activities. He brings relevant investing experience across sustainable and responsible investment strategies, including investing in renewables, clean tech industrial or enterprise efficiency, evolving consumer priorities, and related value chains. He is also one of the early initiators and adopters of integrating sustainability, ESG analysis, and insights into research and investment process across geographies. He is currently working as managing partner at Relativity Investment Management, prior to which he has worked with Global Environment Fund in the South Asia Investment Team and Climate Change Capital Limited. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. I would now request you to share your perspective as an impact investor towards impact investing. Sir, you are on mute.
Yeah, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Thank you very much. This is very, very exciting. As I said, firstly, I would like to congratulate Professor Shah for letting the students drive this initiative. And I think, as you mentioned, this is very interesting about how students can build their thought processes and think about conflicts and contradictions that will come between impact, returns, and the time it takes for capital to be deployed into this. I also want to obviously appreciate and thank the donors for taking, the commitment and leap of faith into this, because I can tell you from our perspective as investors, fundraising is one of the most difficult processes to get into the investing business. And also to Navneet ji, obviously, all of us are fans of what you've done. It's very interesting. Some of the perspective that you recently gave will be very helpful to students. I'm going to talk about 2 or 3 things here, right? I think while you guys have worked very hard and given a perspective about how you're thinking about impact, it is important to understand that impact has been around here for ages in some form. There are groups like the Tata Group who has been doing impact as a philosophy for decades now. And families have been doing impact as part of their CSR play without even trying to quantify it for decades now. I did my first environmental finance deal in the late 90s when impact investing wasn't really something in use. But lately, sustainability, impact investing, ESG, SDGs have really started coming onto the forefront. So I want to try and reiterate about when you talk about impact investing, there are 2 words in it. There is impact and there is investing. And you need to appreciate that if you look at investing, essentially means you are deploying financial resources to generate, as you have already mentioned, risk-adjusted returns. Now, if you are putting the word impact onto it, that just means that you're trying to generate impact alongside financial returns. Navneet ji has alluded this before as well. It is very important to understand that if you do not generate impact at scale, temporary impact may not really be as impactful as you would have liked. So it is important to think about scale, but because you're doing early stage, you need to think about what will happen the next 2, 4, 5 years. One of the frameworks that I use is when I think about terminal value of a business, and you learn this concept in your finance classes. If you believe that the terminal value has managed to create disproportionate impact, that becomes very exciting. And this has to be within a specified period of time. It cannot be out in the abyss. Also, the reason impact wasn't really required from a mainstream perspective for the last many decades was that there were many inefficiencies in the traditional financial metrics, which all of us investors used to try and capture. What has happened is those inefficiencies have now decreased over time for many reasons, including technology, regulations, transparency, so on and so forth. And therefore, non-financial, material metrics have become very relevant to understand value or the true cost of doing business. That is what impact investing will need to drive at. Usually, these elements are environmental, social, and governance because you don't have direct frameworks which get integrated. Until recently, as you have already mentioned, there are a number of frameworks across the world which are trying to quantify this. Whether you take the World Bank and IFC standards, whether you take the GIN standards, or whether you take SEBI standards, which are evolving right now. But what is important is that you need to break your impact across three segments. One is which is globally acceptable metrics, and it could be SDGs. The second is which could be very relevant to local context. It may not be global, it may be relevant to local in terms of either national or regional context in India, because there are different levels of impact needed across different regions in India. And the last bit is there are also standard metrics. For example, paying more tax is an impact, right? Because that tax will go to fuel so many other economic activities. Gender equality becomes a very important part. So the impact universe is very large. You guys have selected the right kind of SDGs depending on your objective. But it becomes very important that measurement is done within the right framework. You will always experience the conundrum of return versus impact. And that is okay. You are a student-led organization, and that is a part of the process for you to evolve into it. However, it is important that you are choosing to call this impact investing, and therefore you cannot look for more impact and less returns, because that scenario is for lack of a better word, a lucky outcome. You will not make more impact and less returns in a standard scenario. So I would really urge you to start putting frameworks into place. And also, it becomes very exciting that you're collaborating with this across the world. Some of the schools have done far more work, but seeing your presentation, I am, quite pleasantly surprised that your frameworks and your advisory committee have, very deep experience when it comes to impact investing. They have deployed capital, they built frameworks. So, I'm very confident that you are in the right hands, whether it is the academic council or the advisory council, clearly. Also, you need to make an understanding about the more framework you spend on impact, the similar type of framework you need to spend on understanding businesses. Again, Navneet ji has alluded to the fact that business frameworks don't go anywhere. Just because you're trying to understand education as an impact, that doesn't mean revenue model does not make sense, or that is okay to go for less returns because the impact is making more. It is always going to be very difficult to communicate to the outside world more impact and less returns, because mind you, on the spectrum, on one side it is finance only, and the other side it is philanthropy. What you are now trying to do is come somewhere in between, where you are enhancing and protecting value and also making a sustained positive impact. I'll leave you with how we think about this. We believe that sustainability, which if you take out the noise, it essentially means the ability to endure, is a very important concept. Sustainability can be achieved by three pillars. One is obviously generating risk-adjusted return. Second is integrating material non-financial metrics, which is ESG. And third is creating and measuring impact at scale. If these three elements are joined, you are now creating a sustainable business, which is essentially enduring for a very, very long period of time. Again, very exciting. Thank you for having me here. I'm more than happy to contribute as and when you guys seem comfortable, but clearly I'm looking a lot more to learn from what you guys come up with. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We would be glad to learn from you, and we will definitely look forward to use non-financial and material metrics towards analyzing impact as well as business. And we will definitely keep on trying bringing a global as well as local context while using those frameworks. Thank you so much. Now, I would like to welcome Mr. Ramesh Ramakrishnan. Mr. Ramakrishnan is currently the chairman of Transworld Group. He has studied business administration and management from Harvard Business School. He is a recognized philanthropist who is supporting charitable trusts and different causes. He promotes Indian art, music, and culture in the UAE and India. He backs the development of rural India and women's health and empowerment with initiatives including Transworld Group sponsorship of the Usher School of Athletics, led by Indian Olympian PT Usha. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. I would now request you to share your perspective as a philanthropist towards impact investing.
Thank you very much. Are you able to hear me and see me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and to all the wonderful students who really put together a great concept. I'm in fact extremely happy to be joining you all this morning or this afternoon. It's an honor for me to be associated with the IIM Udaipur Incubation Center, an institution of repute that is doing some phenomenal work in innovation and entrepreneurship space. I would like to thank Professor Janat Shah, Professor Uday Damodaran, my very dear friend Uday, Mr. Kannan Soundarajan, Mr. Suresh Taka, and the IIM Udaipur Incubation Center to have in fact given me the opportunity to discuss the topic that is very, very close to my heart, that is impact investment. If we look historically, the old conventional rationale of investing worked on a model of risk and return. We've heard this from all my fellow panelists as well. In the new age of socially aware investors, this old methodology is now being actually replaced by a new model of risk, return, and impact. In fact, a world facing a plethora of problems, from climate change to inequality and disadvantage, social and environmental impact has never been more important. Now, more than ever, corporate, government, and philanthropic investors are seeking an impactful return on their investment. The emphasis of social impact investment on both financial returns and social as well as environmental impact is also in line with the 2030 agenda for SDG goals. For us at the Transworld Group, value creation has always been an integral part of our DNA. The higher purpose of the organization is delivering prosperity for humanity with a vision to accelerate global trade while creating sustainable growth. We believe that businesses can thrive if the society and the environment prosper alongside. Environment and social responsibility is one of our core business values that get reflected in the strategic approach of our corporate responsibility programs. Our focus areas of corporate responsibility are in fact very well aligned to the UN SDGs. The framework of all our community engagement is to support sustainable projects, build capacity of grassroots NGO partners, social enterprises, and beneficiaries with clear metrics to measure short-term outcomes and long-term impact of our engagement. To give you an example, periodic impact assessment of some of corporate responsibility projects have helped assess their success, identify the gaps, areas, and make timely amendments to be able to create maximum value out of our investment for all the stakeholders. I believe that impact investment in India holds great promise to complement existing government programs and can have profound impacts on millions of consumers and beneficiaries across development sectors. The real linchpin in determining the success and longevity of the market will lie in how far investors go in building and proving impact models that have already shown financial and social returns. This will obviously involve coordination and promotion at an industry level and the use of innovation to solve development problems. To achieve all of these, youth and technology are going to be the game changers in the social investment space. Given the risks and complexities of serving the social finance sector, several technology-driven innovations in capital structures and impact delivery are emerging. Today, I'm so proud to witness the youth take the lead in being the agents of change and get involved in purpose-driven businesses. This student-led impact investment fund will obviously catalyze youth-led movement to support mission-oriented ventures in India. I am indeed delighted to be associated with the fund and support the program through mentorship and promote collaboration through networks. Once again, my best wishes to all the young change makers here. I look forward to being closely associated with the fund and support the program. And I want to take this opportunity to wish all of you the very, very best. And whatever I've heard today since morning has been so exciting, because I think at the end of the day, whatever you begin right from the time where you are at the university levels, and that's where a lot of learning happens. Because I think when you are sitting there, when you start interacting with people, and then you start getting into the real world, it's going to be a great, great experience. So I think the thought process within the IIM Udaipur, Professor Janat Shah and Uday and the rest of his colleagues, kudos to all of you all for really coming out with this great, great idea. I again want to wish all of you all the very best. And I look forward to working very closely with you, assisting you in whatever means and manner that I can. And happy to see the kicking off that has really happened today. Thank you all and have a fabulous day and all the very best to you again.
Thank you, sir. It is a pleasure for us to be associated with Transworld Group as well. And we will be looking forward to your support as well when we move forward. We completely agree that it will be a great experience for us to learn in the real world as well, moving forward when we will be doing the due diligence and investing in the startups. As we have come a long way from vision to the launch of our fund today, we are looking forward to aim and achieve more milestones in the future. Today, we are launching the website of India's only student-led impact investment fund. You can go to if.imu.ac.in to know more about the impact investment fund. This is our website where you will get to know more about our fund. Now we request social startups working in the social and environmental space of our selected SDGs who are looking for potential investors to please go to the startup section on the startup section of our website and fill out this application form with the required details. From these details, we will reach out to you for the further process of due diligence and investment. You can also reach out to us at if@imu.ac.in for any queries.
Thank you, Pallavi. We have now reached the culmination of our launch event, but this marks the beginning of a beautiful collaborative journey towards sustainability, improvement, and continuity. In the words of the great author, educationist, and consultant Peter Drucker, the best way to predict your future is to create it. Thus, from now, we will move towards creating a more secure, sustainable, greener, healthier, and enlightened future. We would now like to thank Mr. Ramesh Ramakrishnan, Mr. Nicole Zaveri, and Mr. Navneet Garg, Mr. Yogesh Ante, for taking out their precious time and joining us today and sharing their thoughts. Our director, Professor Janet Shah, who has extended his constant support all along. The members of the advisory committee for their guidance and time. The incubation center of IIMU providing us with the platform for going ahead with the vision. The media team of IIMU, and our professors who aided us with their insights throughout the journey. And last but not the least, our wonderful audience for attending our launch event. And now we take the road ahead with this journey because it starts at you, it starts with you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you and good luck to you all.
All the
Thank you
best.
so much.
Good luck, everyone.
Very best.
Thank you.